What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Wealth, your investment channel to help you make more money, help you keep more money, and then help you use that money to enjoy more life. What's up, brother? How's it going, Mikey? Good to have you here.
Going really well here. I'm actually hanging out at a nice restaurant here, and I'm going to do the video with you. And I know one of the owners here, and we're going to do our video, and then I'm going to get some food.
That's nice. Nice life there in Mexico. Yeah, so today we're doing our weekly recap video. So we got a lot to get to. We're going to hop back. We're going to hop right in. So a couple things we're going to talk about, like we do on all of our recap videos. We're going to go over the market overview. We're going to chat about some of the Bitcoin ETF inflows and how that's all coming along. Some coins and stocks that popped last week. Mikey's going to pop up some charts for us. NVDA blew away earnings and the stock reacted. Initially it crashed, but then it popped back up. We're going to talk about the all-time highs in not just the US market on stocks, but the EU and Japan as well. Spotify broke out, cool developments with AI, and just a little bit of NFT stuff, just to throw that in there for me, because I like chatting about it. So
Sounds good.
yeah, so that's what we got. So let me, I'm just going to share my screen here, and we're going to show the market overview. 1 second here.
I can already smell their pizza behind me here.
Oh man, that's going to be distracting, huh? No tacos for breakfast today. It's
Not today. Not
no.
today.
All right. Okay, cool. So you should be able to see my screen here. You see it? Just give me a thumbs up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Of course. I don't know what happened here. Just give it a quick second. Okay, so this is cryptos last week. So green is good, especially if you own some of these. So Bitcoin up, well, it's 7 days, it just updated. So actually down a little bit over the last week. You can see Ethereum here shot up a good amount in relation to Bitcoin. I don't know what the heck, it keeps refreshing here. So anyways, Bitcoin's at 51,000, a little higher than 51,000. Ethereum just shy of 3,000 here. But I love this. I love these heat mappings. It shows you kind of instantly. You see Uniswap here down a little bit here, but we're going to be sharing about that shot up pretty good. So that's cryptos. I know Mikey follows stocks as well. I'm invested in some of these stocks, but not. I don't track this too often. But yeah, so NVIDIA up big. Tesla down, Amazon up. So that's stocks real quick. Now, this is a thing that we showed on our last weekly recap, and we're going to have on all of them because it's freaking awesome. So it shows real quick just kind of the narratives that are doing well at any given time. So these are cryptos, and I recognize some of these, but not all of them. So here's Uniswap up 47% in the week. This WLD, I believe this is a gaming one. And there's a couple AI ones on here. You know, Render's been doing very well. HBAR is an AI play as well. So it's just a quick snapshot. Oh, here's a gaming one, Beam. Mikey and I are both in this one, so we were smiling a lot extra last week.
I'm happy about that one.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I just kind of wanted to take you guys just kind of a quick rundown of where we're at with the markets. And let's pop over to NVIDIA earnings. So NVIDIA has been doing very, very well lately, mostly because, you know, AI is in the spotlight, and NVIDIA makes the processors, the chips for a lot of these AI companies. So why don't you take it here, Mike? So they reported earnings a couple days back, right?
Yeah, NVIDIA, I mean, NVIDIA already was talking about this at their last earnings report, which was, I think, October or November there, probably November. And they basically said, we're going to sell a brand new product called an AI chip, a GPU, I think they call it, right? And,
Yeah.
If you're only selling apples and you start selling bananas, you're going to make more revenue. And so they have a whole new product here. And so, it's kind of obvious they were going to make more money. past 2, 3 months, we've been hearing how many of them they've been selling. It's all brand new revenue. Their market cap's going to go up and the price is going to go up. And that's exactly what happened. So,
Yeah.
do you want me to go share the chart on that one?
Yeah. So let's just see how the stock reacted leading up to earnings. When earnings got released, what did the stock do? And then what did it do a day or two after?
Sure. Let's go check that one out. So just a reminder to people here, if you go to YouTube here, you can go type in Real Wealth Now. You can check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and you'll get our videos right away when they come up, and lots of good content there. We've been getting a lot of great feedback, actually, and we're going to keep getting more subscribers there. So, when we're looking at this stuff here, let me just get this going here.
Look at those guys.
Yeah, not bad, eh? A little bit of AI generation there.
Oh, no, that was real.
That's your real clothing. Okay, so here's NVIDIA. I'll just get rid of my old chart analysis here.
Yeah.
So again, this is the candle chart for people that aren't familiar with it. Obviously, if you've been in my group or Mike, we follow this stuff. And what you're going to notice on the chart is you're going to notice that it's actually jumped up recently over here. And it actually gapped up from the top of this candle to the bottom of this candle. And that's what we call a gap on the chart. And that means there's some hot action. That's usually around an earnings report right here, or a new business deal or something that happened. So you can see that it jumped up very substantially. Like, the all-time high was around here, around 720, and it jumped up to like 820. This jumped up another $100. That's huge. But the one important thing to point out is that, like, it might keep going up, right? I'm not saying that it won't keep going up. I'm sure it will. But if you look at it, let's look at their last earnings report here.
Oh, look at that chart. Wow.
You'll see here that when they announced their earnings report here, following it, they were saying that basically we're going to be making AI chips and we're going to be selling a lot of those. So I don't think it was on the day of earnings they announced that. I think it was somewhere around here they announced it. If I remember correctly, it was November. And you could see it on the chart. They popped up, they took a little breather, and then they went up. And that's all before the earnings, right? The earnings came way over here after. So we had a big rally there where they were already making money even before they announced the earnings of these things. And we talk about this a lot. We had a rally before the Bitcoin halving because people already knew that, the Bitcoin ETF announcement, because we just assumed they were going to approve it. Like Larry Fink was all over TV for BlackRock, very confident that it would happen. So, with NVIDIA, we had the same thing. They announced these new AI chips, and before the earnings came out, it was already up over 90%. Okay. And then more recently here, it jumped from that little dip there. It jumped up about 20%, just after their earnings. So most of the money here flowed in before the earnings because we just knew it was coming. It's kind of like when Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls were winning 3 championships in a row. After they won the first one, you just expected them to be great the next year.
Yeah.
We already knew they had the best team and the best players, and you just kind of start betting on the Chicago Bulls, right? So that's kind of what this is like here. And you can see the chart is doing absolutely fantastic there, Mike. It's one of the biggest, it's probably the best performing non-micro stock it's the best performing major stock of the past year.
Yeah, for sure. And this is how we do our analysis. And we've grown a lot over the years. Like back in the day, it was just, oh, we'll just buy this. Now it's like, what's a hot narrative, right? If you're living under a rock, the chat GPT, like you hear that all the time. And a lot of people have used that thing now. So you ask questions a little bit of a layer deeper than that. Well, what technology needs to be in place to allow for this to do well, right? And you just start drilling down, you drill down. It's like, well, it needs processing power. Well, what creates processing power? Who can offer that, right? And you need these GPUs. So it's one of those, these are the things that help you get into things before the massive run up. And I got in probably at least a big smile on my face with NVIDIA. Of course, it's one of those things you wish you own more of it, but I own a bunch of other things as well that's making me smile as well. So Yeah, so that's NVIDIA, and it's when do you get in? When do you get out? Earnings are about to come out. Do you get out before earnings? Like, there's all these things that are playing into it. Did it run up because of earnings? It'll sell off because of earnings. Yeah. These are all questions to consider. But if you think AI is going to continue to do well, then why wouldn't NVIDIA continue to do well? And NVIDIA is just climbing up the charts on market cap, and yeah, I think it's past like three of the big major companies in the top 10. It's insane. Like, I think it went up like, I don't know, like a quarter of a it's insane amounts of multiples of billions of dollars in one day of market cap, which is freaking crazy. So
Another
that,
thing to mention too, Mike, like a lot of people say once you hear the news, it's too late, and sometimes that's true, but oftentimes it's not. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. So with earnings reports, that does happen a little bit more often, to be honest.
yeah,
And the market's at a ridiculous all-time high. I'm going to go over that later. I gave a warning this week about that. And but like, what about when they announced in November that they're selling a brand new product, which will obviously raise their market capitalization? They're going to make
yeah,
a ton more revenue. And then they were updating us along the way about how many sales they were making. Well, look what happened on the chart. People just kept buying it. It wasn't too late when you heard they came out with an AI chip and they were selling a lot of them. You could have bought the whole time. We
yeah,
did. And you make money, right? And now maybe when the earnings comes out, maybe it's a little bit too late. Like, I mean, it's still gone up and it might go up a little more. But if
yeah.
you're holding on, maybe in the next month it takes a big dip. I don't know. Um, and so, just be careful. And that's kind of why it's good to have people that you follow along with and trust. And, you can hear other people's opinions and not just your own.
Yeah, exactly. And you're watching this on YouTube. If you guys got questions with anything, just put them in the comments below. We're good. We read all of them. We respond to all of them. So, and just a reminder, subscribe. When you subscribe, it not only helps the channel, but it also notifies you when we do more videos like this, and we're going to do a bunch more. And back to NVIDIA real quick. It all comes down to supply and demand. There's not enough chips out there, and there's massive demand for AI right now. Facebook, Amazon, Google, like they're all competing to be the first in AI and have the best LLM learning language model. And in order for them to be the best, they need to buy all of these things. So they're
Yeah.
willing to pay a premium for these things. And there's a shortage of those things already. So
Not to mention too, like we were talking about CleanSpark being the biggest Bitcoin miner last week. This is the biggest producer of AI chips. I mean, there's some other guys making a few, but you're going to buy them from NVIDIA, and when they produce them, you will buy them. They're going to sell them all. It's like a Taylor Swift ticket or something. They're all going to sell out.
yeah, exactly. So let me pop back over into the Bitcoin ETF inflows. So last week we talked a little bit about this. And, this is in line with like supply and demand. When there's massive demand for something and not enough supply, and supply is going to get even less coming up, then it increases the chances of things continuing to go up, even though they've already gone up a lot. Give me a second. I'm just going to share my screen real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. So here's all the numbers for all of the Bitcoin ETFs out here. So you have BlackRock, you have Fidelity, as you come across here. Here's some of the other ones. So January 11th was when things started. And if we just scroll down here, if we just focus on this column on the right, this is the sum of all of the inflows of the Bitcoin ETF.
Now,
And
Mike,
look,
that's the number of Bitcoins they purchased, correct?
I believe it's actually millions of dollars. I believe. I think it's an
Oh, okay.
increment. Yeah, so it's insane. Like obviously over here on this column, the all in the black, there's more black than red. Red is outflows, black is inflows. So look at this every single day. 251 million. There's 135 million. Here's this, right? It's just consistently going up. And when you have more up than down, it just creates more demand. So I just kind of wanted just to do a little quick snapshot of that. And then here's another thing that I found interesting. I came across this chart. This is a chart of the money inflows to the Bitcoin ETFs. That's on the top, this teal color, and on the bottom is gold ETF flows. So if you notice, one is going down and one is going up.
Yes.
So you can infer here that probably the majority of the people that are selling out of the gold ETF is probably putting it into something else. And it's pretty clear on this chart what that might be. So I thought that was kind of a cool visual.
You know what? You should send that chart to Peter Schiff, because all he does is post about how terrible Bitcoin is and how great gold is. And, you know, I kind of comment on his posts sometimes because, I don't know, I'm someone who prides myself on giving honest information to people. And I love Peter on his macro views, but he's very dishonest short term. And he's a gold seller, so he's biased. He wants people to buy gold.
Yeah.
And, you know, I pointed out to Peter and I said to him, I go, listen, I go, I own gold and silver. I've owned it because of Peter Schiff and other people. But, you know, gold and silver have been dropping like a sack of potatoes recently, like, and Bitcoin's been going up. So if you're a wealthy older person with a lot of money, you're going to have probably a bunch of gold and silver, right?
Yeah.
But now you're saying to yourself, holy crap, Larry Fink and BlackRock and everyone, they're all advising me to buy Bitcoin. Where am I going to take it from? I'm going to take it from my underperforming asset like gold. I'm not selling my NVIDIA. So I think it's really important to be careful who you listen to. And again, Peter, if you're listening, I love you, but you know, your short-term analysis for gold and Bitcoin is so biased, man. Like, you're selling gold and you're talking it up all the time. Just be honest, and hopefully people understand and appreciate that we're always going to be honest and tell you what we think.
Yeah. And another thing to remember, don't always do what you hear people doing. Follow along what they're actually doing. Sometimes on the news, they may say something where, hey, we don't like Bitcoin, but in the back end, their company might actually be accruing.
Remember Larry Fink? Larry Fink was saying Bitcoin was terrible like a year or two ago, and now he's like the biggest purchaser of Bitcoin. So he wasn't actually able to tell you his real feelings.
Yeah, exactly. So things change, and you know, I didn't fully understand what the heck I was getting into years ago, and I still don't fully understand it, but I understand it more now, and I'm more confident, and I know you are as well. We talk about this often, like we just have more conviction because of our knowledge. And you, once you dive into this stuff, you'll never know all of this stuff. It's freaking crazy. But you know, you just start with certain things that you're comfortable in, you put some in, and then you just ask more questions in the comments below. And that's how you learn. And it's wild. It's just, it's so wild.
We love it.
Let me share again here. So Mikey mentioned this the other or earlier as well. So so the Bitcoin halving is coming up. So this is another thing, another catalyst why we think Bitcoin will continue its upswing, along with other catalysts as well. But and we're going to do a video. Our next video is probably going to be on about the Bitcoin halving. Like, what is it? What's happened in previous Bitcoin halvings, leading up to it, and after. So usually it's a very, very, very bullish thing where cryptos go up in multiples of hundreds of percents. So just like it's happened, and we're going to do a video on this, leading up to the halving. Look, we're 53 days away from the halving. Things are more than likely going to do well. There's no guarantees, and things tend to do increasingly well after the halving. So I can't wait. I know I'm trying my best to free up as much cash as I can. I'm working towards like getting some money out of a rental house I own, and I'm doubling down as best I can based on patterns, based on history. You know, there's a lot of things lining up that are favorable. So I just want to.
And you know what? Like we take pride in educating people on this stuff because we didn't know this stuff in 2017 or 2016. And when I was running my training courses in 2020, I was teaching people, you know, when Bitcoin was very unknown still in 2020 and very hated, unless your name was Elon Musk, basically, people were talking, including Larry Fink and everyone, they were talking, you know, crap about it. And actually, Mike, I'm just going to mention too, I'm going to be running my training course in April. I'm going to be planning it for the weekend of April 6th after the holidays. And I might be running a training course in Mexico. I have a bunch of business partners for real estate. And they're like, what if we come over there and we rent a boat, we have some fun, and then you do the training course for us? So I'm going to be offering it my normal way through Zoom video for folks in my group and the followers here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start posting stuff to my Invest Like Mike group on Facebook, and it'll be the April 6th weekend. It's going to be updating you on all the stuff that we talk about, but with extreme intensity and organization and my exact strategies as well. So, the one reason why I mentioned that is because in 2020, I was teaching people the course when Bitcoin was like 5 or 10 or 12 grand and Ethereum was $600. They made so much money because I got to intensely train them and understand everything I know about cryptos. And they became confident once they had the knowledge. Not that I made them do anything, but they learned and they applied that knowledge. And you know what everyone knows, like Warren Buffett says, right? You buy after the 2008 crash. Well, you don't have to wait for 2008. You can buy after the Bitcoin crashes that happened along the way.
Yeah.
And, that's very, very important to know. And the more you know, the more you're capable of.
Yeah, and I can say I've gone through the course before, and I knew some about like trading and chart patterns and various things, market cycles. But I learned a ton. Me and Mikey chat pretty often, and I fire questions off him all the time.
And
yeah,
I go deep.
we'll
I go
put,
really deep into the chart analysis too. I'm really good on the charts, and you might not end up becoming as good as I am on the charts, but you'll understand exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, so we're going to include details about the course in the description below. So I highly encourage it. So on the topic of making money, you were fortunate enough to own some Uniswap, and that
Oh
seemed to
boy.
do a little well in one day last week. You sent me a message of a nice big juicy green candle on the chart. So tell us what happened and show us on the chart what made you happy.
Yeah, there's an old saying, if you watch the TV commercials, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. I think the best part of waking up is seeing Uniswap up 60%. Okay.
Wow, in one
And
day.
like in one day, Uniswap went up 60%. So like I woke up the other day, beautiful night's sleep and everything. I wasn't expecting anything. And
Yeah.
I looked at the chart and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Like you don't normally look at a chart. Like when's the last time you saw NVDA go up 60%,
Yeah.
And so let me show you the chart here. One second here. Sorry, guys, give me 1 second here. I just want to adjust the chart.
Yeah.
So Mike showed us on the banter bubbles as well. I'm going to show that because it's a good tool. It's a free resource. It's not just that we have private access. And I think it's important for people to use it. I have a buddy who's a portfolio manager, and I told him he should use it. And so you'll see Uniswap here on the right side of your screen up almost 47% for the week. Okay. It was up 60% just in one day, and now people have taken some profits. And I kind of warned that would probably happen short term. But what you want to notice here too, Mike, is that the audience should be aware. It's the color of the bubble green means it's up in value by that percentage, obviously.
Yeah.
The red one,
the bubble. Yeah.
And the size of the bubble means that makes a difference. So the APE here has a smaller bubble than H bar. So H bar went up more. So you can very quickly see that Uniswap and WLD and AGIX went up the most.
And Render.
Right? And Render, I own Render. I made think about this, guys. Like, you own a basket of stocks to diversify your risk. We own a basket of cryptos to diversify our risk. And now I caught a 60% move in Uniswap, 40% or more in Render. And, we're harvesting profits here.
Yeah. And then Mikey can sell some of his profits and roll it into maybe one of the other smaller bubbles that maybe haven't moved yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, we're going to do a video this week here. We're going to make a clip from this and share it with everybody. But Uniswap, this is via CoinDesk here, the news that happened. Uni jumps 60% on proposal to reward token holders in major governance overhaul. So, there's an upgrade that will reward holders of Uniswap who have staked and delegated their tokens. So think about it like giving your money to the bank and, buying a GIC in Canada or bonds. And now they can use your money to do other things. So they reward you. And that's what they're doing here. If you've staked your Bitcoin, it's like you bought a GIC in Canada or given your money to the bank for them to lend out. And now they're giving you an additional reward. And you can see the chart jumped up massively here. And we had a really, really nice jump up. So I think it's important to see that it's not just all about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that's why we say, like, I think it's very valuable that you follow us because, if you follow Robert Kiyosaki or Michael Saylor, they're just going to tell you to buy Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is going to try to scare you out of buying anything else and saying it'll collapse. And again, I love the guy, but I think he's too biased and he's a Bitcoin maximalist, right? Which is fine. But diversify your viewpoints. I listen to Michael Saylor. I love Michael Saylor. I even listen to Peter Schiff, right? Yeah. I want to hear the people I agree with and the people I don't agree with. So, I think that's really important. And if you've been following in my group, and I know Mike's been hearing me, we talked the other week about it. Yeah. I own Uniswap and I've been posting about it. And if anyone chose to follow along with me, you made 50-60% the other day.
Yeah. And a big thing here is to not kick yourself if you miss something. I didn't get into Uniswap. A couple of weeks back, Mikey's like, oh, this chart looks great. And, I'm in it for this much. But you can only get into so many things. There's thousands of coins. And yeah, I didn't make 60% on it, but I might've made 25 or 30 or 40% on something else.
So, you know what though, Mike? You owned the Super Farm coin and you made money when I wasn't making money on that one. So it's okay.
But there's a lot of psychology in your head that's going to play. It's going to be like even you're like, oh shit, I didn't kind of get into Beam, or like, just celebrate the people that did get in. Mikey's sending me these charts. I'm like, dude, that's freaking amazing. That's awesome. Good trade, right? Instead of like bringing it back to yourself and saying, oh, I missed that one. And then there's FOMO and it's like, oh shit, it might go up more. Like maybe I should sell this and put it into that. This is where you got to catch yourself on the mind chatter that can go through your head. Yeah. So yeah, good job on that one. That's awesome. So let's pop over into kind of the stock market again. We're bouncing around a little bit here, but all-time highs again in the stock market. Not only just the US, the EU, Japan, like. Things are going crazy a lot in stocks and crypto. So tell us what's going on in with all the stocks. Like we hear all this negative news out there, inflation, all this, like, how are we still like at not just like recent highs? This is all-time ever highs in these markets. What's going on?
So we're following all this stuff here, and I have a buddy of mine. He's a really smart guy. Okay, he has multiple degrees and designations, and he's a portfolio manager. And he says to me, Mike, he goes, I see what you're posting, and why are you so bullish on the market? Like, I don't understand why it's going up. It's kind of stupid because the interest rates are high, the economy is not doing great, and his business too. He does some lending and refinancing for people. He can't lend and refinance to people very much. So he's saying, I don't get it. The average person's not doing that well. Why is it going up? And we've been talking about this. It's dollar devaluation is a part of the equation here, right? It's not just, when you have an earnings report or this or that. Part of it is the U.S. has gone from 30 trillion in debt to 33 trillion in debt, and they're devaluing the dollar. They owe interest on that money. And people are pricing in lower interest rate for the coming year. And when you price in high interest rates in 2022, they price the market down. When you're going to start pricing in lower rates, you're going to price the market up. And that's part of what's going on right now. So let's share the screen here. Yeah. And what I wanted to point out, I mentioned this to Mike because I'm on top of the news really, proficiently here. Europe's stock market had an all-time high. Wow. Okay. Japan's stock market, all-time high. They weren't doing that great over the past 20 years compared to America or Canada. They just surpassed the 1989 all-time high. Think about that. Like, they weren't even past the 1989 all-time high until this week. We surpassed the 1989 all-time high in like 1992. So, everyone's booming. And then the S&P hit a new fresh record above 5,100. We talked about 5,000 last week, which is an optical level that we surpassed. Now it's over 5,100, right? And, this is incredible. So let me pull up the chart. I'll pull up the SPX chart for everybody here, get a little bit of technical analysis in. So this is the SPX chart here. Let's zoom in. And you'll see that I designated here this resistance line in red, and that we jumped above it there. Like the past couple days, we jumped above it with a big green candle. And, a new all-time high. We reached about 5,100 at one point. Now I'm going to zoom back out. You might be wondering, why does Mike have this arrow on the chart? Well, we pointed this out last time, right? And, study your history, zoom out, And I teach people how to do that very systematically in the training course. So this is the bear trend from when they raised the interest rates and the interest rates were going up. And here, more recently, is when they haven't been raising interest rates at all, or not that much at all.
Yeah.
And they're basically talking about bringing the interest rates down, right? And we also had inflation over here that was very high, right? Well, now I'm going to draw a little one over here, right? Inflation is very little now. And, you know, look at the size of the letter I drew, right? When you have big inflation and interest rates going up, you have yourself a bear trend. When you have little inflation and the talk of them lowering rates and they're not really raising them anymore, then the market's doing well. And you can see the balance there on your screen, right? So, you know, it's important to have a good perception of the market. But here's the other thing. I gave a warning last week in my Invest Like Mike group. And what my warning was is, hey guys, I'm happy and I'm still invested, and so is Mike Gillespie. But here's one, here's two, here's three, here's four, and here's a very ripe, very mature wave five. Like wave five is not supposed to be much bigger than wave three at all. And it's already bigger than wave three. So sometimes you have a news event or something happening that just makes it bigger, right? Like, you know, anything can happen. And so right now we do have a bigger wave five, and I'm not calling for any kind of an immediate crash, but you know, it's kind of funny how this works, Mike. I've often talked about this. Sometimes I'll see setups like this, and you could tell that in the next month or two we should dip, probably sooner than later. And then, you know, wouldn't you know it, something weird happens in the news or the world, and it causes that dip. So just keep a lookout. I'm not trying to panic anybody, but I'm going to be taking profits on stuff in the coming weeks, and I'm going to be keeping some cash on the sidelines just in case.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to always do. So he was showing the waves. So this is something that he teaches in the course that he does. This is the Elliott wave patterns, and I learned this the last time I went through the program. So usually there's 5 waves, and then either it reverts or it could potentially create another Elliott wave. But one thing that he mentioned just then was zoom out. Like things become a lot more obvious when you zoom out. You can more easily see the downtrend, the uptrend, and trend lines. And once you kind of get a little bit more visual on these charts, like things start to become a little bit more easier for you. And this is technical analysis. It doesn't mean that it's going to continue that way. It just increases the chances of it continuing to do that. And then when you line up all of that with all the other things that are going on, it just continues to stockpile onto the next. And interest rates are rumored to come down multiple times this year, which is, as you saw what Mikey showed on the chart, is another reason why things can be bullish. And that's a good thing if you're in the market. So I just wanted to share a little bit more around that stuff. So it's really cool when he shares that stuff on the chart.
I just want to add to Mike what he said. You made a really good point there. So, you know, it's important to zoom out and see your surroundings and not just look right in front of you at the current market. And, you know, imagine you're walking down the street here, right? I see cars driving by here. Imagine I'm walking down the street with a piece of paper on either side of my eyes and I'm only seeing straight ahead of me. Well, you're going to get a more clear view of the road if you look to your left and right, and you might see if a car is going to hit you. And you're going to get more data and you're going to get a more full perspective if you zoom out on those charts. And again, with the training course and the stuff me and Mike do together, I'm going to go deep into that, because even when I draw the Elliott waves, you might say, oh, I can see that. That's easy. Not really. That's not easy to do. Like I already drew it for you. I go on a chart with no drawings on it with people, and I'll say to you, find me the 5 waves, and you'd be surprised how hard it is. So it's important to really train your mind and your eyes to be able to recognize these things.
Yeah. And another important thing is to understand your timelines. If you're kind of like a swing trader, which means you're kind of middle kind of trading, you know, you're not in and out often like a day trader. Like for me, like I'm pretty confident that the market will do well over the next year and a half. Some sectors I believe will just do better than others. Now, if I'm a holder of like crypto gaming, which I'm very bullish on, I think will do very, very well. Should I get distracted by what happened in the last 3 days? I need to remember the overall trend And what happened in the last cycle with the right coins that you buy can go up 300, 400, 1,000%. It's insane. So you just have to be patient. You have to remember what your time frame is, and don't get so distracted by the noise on the short-term charts. So that's cool. So let's hop into another stock one that you mentioned to me. Spotify seems to be doing well for some reason. Share the chart and let us know what's going on.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast, and I listen to music all the time on Spotify. I think everyone uses Spotify nowadays. And I've been tracking that stock, and even when we were in the middle of the 2022 recession, I was doing training videos with students, and I was telling them, look how oversold this is. Look how great their earnings is. Like, people are going to buy Apple and Microsoft first, so Spotify was still dropping, but I said, this is an undervalued stock, right? And it ended up being correct. And let's go. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to show you some stuff here. So, for me, again, I'm a big music guy. I play instruments. I'm a big podcast guy here. We're going to do a video this week. We're going to do a clip here from our video today and show people about it. So there's Joe Rogan, the most popular podcast in the world. The Spotify logo, you recognize it because that's where you play your music probably, right? Breakout signal. And I actually, Mike's aware of this, right? If you follow me on Facebook, I met Joe Rogan, right? I've actually met him a few times. And
like brothers.
Right. Like, we actually kind of look like we could be brothers. He's Italian. And so, I've met the guy and I'm a fan of his, and he's really helped the stock, right? Like, that's a big deal that's like signing Michael Jordan, so to speak, for the podcast. So let's go type in.
He'll be on next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to line up Joe Rogan eventually.
Stay tuned. Subscribe.
So we're looking at this here. I'm going to zoom in now because we want to see the current action, right? We don't really want to zoom out. We want to see what it's doing right now. So what I was posting about recently was we had a gap up because they had great earnings over here. So again, I'll show you there's a gap on the chart there.
Yeah,
right?
now show us in percentage terms. Go from the how much of a percentage is it going from 220 to 248? Just to get people used to using the
from the earnings from the earnings here.
Yeah.
Okay, so before Friday, it was up about 11%. Okay,
yeah,
that's the Friday numbers, and
that's a lot for a stock.
That's not bad, and this is not Apple. This is not NVDA. Like, I happen to like Spotify and we use it a lot, but it doesn't mean it's the hottest stock in the world, right? But if I zoom out, you'll see here I've been drawing. This is old technical analysis I've had on the screen for a while because I was teaching people.
Look at that, $80 to 248.
It's crazy, right? So this thing was around $70 over here, and this is when I told people, I said, "Hey, it's breaking out, right? Hey, it's breaking out again." And in my private training I was doing with people, I was pointing that out to them, and you can see the wave count. And if I zoom out, look how high this stock was before. This was $400 stock. So again, it's important to zoom out and to see that when they were doing well and having good earnings, they were a $400 stock. Well, look right now, their earnings report recently, they beat earnings by 3 or 4%. It's not amazing, but they're on the right track and they're going up. So, excuse me. They're also getting a lot of exposure from Joe Rogan and music artists as well. So what I was showing people was this. I said, here's the earnings breakout over here where it went up to this level here. And then it kind of just bounced around. I like to draw my lines here. It just kind of bounced around and essentially just kind of held up in this range here. Okay. Yeah. So why is that important? Because after doing that, I saw it now pop above that range, and it popped above my first resistance level. So I started buying Spotify call options right here. And if you go to my Invest Like Mike group, you can see the proof in the pudding. I do what I say. And I talked to Mike about it. So I took positions here, not major positions. I have way more money in cryptos and other stuff, but I want to diversify my risk. So I said, I'm going to buy Spotify because they had good earnings, right? That's one check mark. The market keeps making an all-time high. That's another check mark. You have Joe Rogan and musicians and advertising all over the place for this. That's another good check mark. And then my chart is telling me it's trying to move even higher than the earnings bump. So I held on patiently, and you could see that it kind of like hung around, and a lot of people get impatient. I say, what's my favorite saying? Mike, patience pays dividends, right?
Yeah.
I've been patient, boom. Now I
Yeah.
broke out. Okay. Now, this is an important thing to point out to you guys. Okay. And part of the training I do is options trading with my training course. And I want to point this out to folks here. Now, this isn't to brag or say that I'm better than other options traders or anything, but I just want to show you here that the stock went up about 4 or 5% since I got in. Okay.
Yeah.
So I showed you where I got in. The stock went up between 4 and 5%. Well, the nice thing is that when you educate yourself on options trading and you learn from someone that knows what they're doing, like I do, I've made 35 or 40% on my call options, and the
Yeah.
stock went up under 5%. So
Yeah.
I've made 7x what the stock did. Now, I'm not going to say that you should all run out and do stock options. Okay. Like,
No.
that's like me giving you like a sword to play with, and you're going to cut yourself and you're going to hurt yourself because you don't know how to use the sword, or use nunchucks, you're going to hit yourself in the face, right? So it's a complicated weapon when you use stock options.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at it now.
Yeah.
And I don't share my exact options trade in the group for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's the benefit you get from training with me in the training course. And number two, I don't want you to hurt yourself. Imagine if I handed people nunchucks, everyone's going to be all bruised up, right? I don't want you to hurt yourself. You don't know what you're doing probably for stock options. So,
yeah. Because some people will see the plus 30 or 40% and be like, I want to do that. And then, if you're buying just the wrong call option, like up a bit or down a bit, the strike price, it can make a massive difference. You can go from being plus 50% to maybe down like 10 when things or more, and quick. So I've done stock options in the past. I've done well, but I've also lost a bunch of money. And so did Mikey when he first started. But that's an advanced trading strategy, and it's not recommended for new people. But when you understand how it works, you can put a little bit into that. And I wanna share a little bit about what you were just showing on the charts as well. You drew the 4 check marks, right? Again, that's Mikey lining up multiple things that increase the chances of it going his way. So if there was only 1 check mark, Mikey might have been like, I don't know, like not enough for me to get in. But as he's lining up more and more and more, just like, Bitcoin things coming up, not financial advice, but, things might do well. That's a perfect example of him, just check mark, check mark, check mark. And when you get into this, when you learn more of the stuff that Mikey's teaching and the things we're sharing on this channel, the more confident you get, the more conviction you'll have in your trades, the less you'll just want to sell when you have a down day of like 4%, because you might miss out on the plus 25% that just happened the next day. So yeah, that's cool, man. You did well on that one. And I remember getting the message from you, like, dude, like my account's up pretty good over the last day because of these options. So,
and I'm still holding, by the way, because the market's doing well. I'm going to wait for Spotify to go up a little bit more, and I'm going to cash out.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's a good share. So anything else you wanted to share on stocks, cryptos before I shared? I just want to share a little bit about kind of what's going on in AI and just some news on NFTs. You have anything else you wanted to share?
I just wanted to add to, you're making a lot of great points today. So, the check mark system, right? And the check mark system is important because, imagine like you watch the Pumping Iron documentary and you see Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these guys, right? And they're all jacked. They're all pumped you up. So like, I used to be a personal trainer back in the day. Mike's very into fitness. If you see the Pumping Iron documentary and then you run into the gym and you start lifting heavy weights, you're probably going to hurt yourself. You're going to overextend the tendons in your arm. You might tear a bicep if you overdo it. You might hurt your back because your technique sucks. And when I was a personal trainer, I would correct all that stuff for people. And Mike was a personal trainer as well. So, the check mark system. Okay, I want to be huge like Arnold. 1 check mark. I can't work out. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of red X's that I don't even know how to work out or how much weight to lift or my technique. So there's only one good thing. You want to be jacked, but I don't know how, right? There's a lot of bad reasons why you shouldn't try to get jacked right away. So what you should do is you should hire a personal trainer or go on YouTube and learn proper, correct form and technique. Start with light weights, basic exercise. Don't do plyometrics and crazy stuff. Don't do big squats yet. Like, don't do that stuff yet. And when I started playing basketball, I shot granny shots. And then
Yes,
eventually
nice.
you could shoot overhand,
Yeah.
but you got to learn the right technique. When I tried shooting overhand, the ball went behind me. So like if you go to the gym, you're going to hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing. If you're investing in stocks and Bitcoin and you don't know what you're doing, and I just want to make money, like you want to get jacked, you're
Yeah.
going to get hurt eventually.
Yeah. And in case you haven't noticed, Mikey's awesome with his analogies. It really helps to make things a little bit more clear. And you can get injured training in a gym. You can also get injured in the markets if you're doing the wrong thing. And when you get injured in the markets, it hurts your wallet, it hurts your accounts, and it's very discouraging. And sometimes people get hurt so bad that they don't come back
Yes.
and they miss out, unfortunately. So you have to trade with your level of experience at the time. You're going to be tempted. You're going to see the headlines of Uniswap plus 60%, FOMO, I missed that, right? Like you got to just catch that chatter and stop yourself from just going and buying these things or getting into these options. You have to have enough self-awareness to know where you're at on this path, because you need to live to trade another day, live to train another
Yes.
day in the gym. It's all a progression. Mikey didn't start with making 60% on Uniswap. Mikey might have lost 30%, 3 weeks ago, maybe, or like years ago when we first got into this stuff. During the last cycle, we made a shitload of money, but then we gave a lot of it back because we didn't know when to sell. So this cycle, it's like, what could we have done better there? And thankfully, we got out before the bottom, so we still had some money to play with. And during the bear market, we kept learning. We kept consuming content. We kept in touch. We kept sharing with each other what we think will do well and what won't do well. So we bounce ideas off of each other very, very well. And that's part of our goal with this channel, is to share this with you and help you accelerate your learnings, because we believe, again, not financial advice, do your own homework, that things will do very, very, very well in the next year and a half. That's why Mikey and I, we're doubling down on this thing right now, because we really believe that there's the potential for immense generational wealth. And I hope my tone is coming through. So again, no guarantees. Anything can happen at any time, but there's a lot of check marks that are lining up, and there's more than 4.
And again, another check mark would be like, your personal trainer. I mean, we're going to be your financial trainers where you can bounce ideas off of us.
Yeah.
And, when I was training people at the gym, I would warn them, don't lift too heavy and don't overdo it in the beginning, because you're going to stiffen up and your
Yeah.
muscles will be sore and you're going to be
Yeah.
sleeping more. You're going to be tired for recovery. Imagine you don't have a personal trainer and you know nothing about exercise. You're going to be like, wow, exercise sucks. I
Yeah.
feel worse. So I'm going to give up now.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have a bear market and the market starts going up in wave 1 of 5, well, after wave 1 up comes wave 2 down. A lot of people give up, and you're giving up right before wave 3. So
which is
it's
a big
important. Again, the
Yeah.
more you know, the better you'll do.
Yeah, and not only that, we encourage you, you're watching this on YouTube, we encourage you to listen to our channel, we encourage you to listen to a bunch of others' channel, and then you take all that information in, and then you make your own decision. But what's really cool about the programs that we're offering, the courses we're offering, is that you have us where you can ask questions. Because this crypto thing, the NFT stuff, all this AI stuff that's coming, it's not easily understood. And we're going to do a video on this about, just getting used to the tools and moving money around and, setting yourself up properly and making sure that all of your things are secure and you're doing things right, because you can get scammed. You could lose money.
Yes.
So it's very important to not only consume the content, but to have a sounding board and to have someone be there to actually answer your questions. It's very, very important in this space. And you'll find most people are open to sharing, because other people helped lift us up along the way. They helped us. So it's, we're sending the elevator back down for the next person. just to help accelerate things. So that's a cool share. So yeah, I just want to hop on here. I want to share some really cool developments of what's going on with AI. And I don't know if there's actual sound on here, but I'll try to share the sound. Just a couple quick clips. So these are videos that aren't created. They're created by AI, and this technology is exponentially changing. I've been following the space for a little bit now, and you gotta, as you're watching this, I want you to think about what industries that this can disrupt. So I'm gonna play it now. You can see my screen, Mikey?
We can.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'll just play this real quick, just a couple of them. So this is a prompt that you're inputting into the learning language model. And then based on this prompt, again, this is detailed. It doesn't have to start out detailed. You put a little bit of things in and it'll output something, then you make it a little bit more detailed. So I'll just let you watch a couple prompts, and I'll let you watch a couple of the outputs from those prompts.
That's so cool.
Look at the detail. Like, it's actually getting the hair on the ears moving. So we'll just watch a couple more here. Like, does this not look cinematic? Like, look at the early
real.
on, they used to have like 7 fingers or 8 toes, or like the ear was off to the side. Look,
that
at
looks
this.
real, Mike. That looks like real.
Yeah, alarmingly real. So we'll just let's see if we got a couple other popping up here. And this is, I mean, there's like a whole long video of here, and the technology that's being used here, I think it's called Sora. Yeah, so there's tons of different tools like this that's being developed. Let me see if I can just like, look at that. Just pause.
I wouldn't know if that was real or fake. I mean,
no. So imagine what this does now, right? Like, what does it look like now for TV? What does it look like for movies? What does it look like for actors and actresses and stuntmen and video games? What opportunities are here? Like, I have kids. Like, what opportunities are there for the creation of other things now? So as you start to explore with this technology, it's like the light bulbs are just kind of like going on a little more. It's like, oh my God, this is going to disrupt this. This is going to disrupt that. So, and it's exponential how fast this is going. ChatGPT, was introduced to the masses like last year. Now you have these AIs like writing their own AIs, and it can be scary and it can be exciting at the same time. But you have to understand that this isn't going away, right? This is here. It's not the genie's not getting put back in the bottle. So
another thing, Mike, too, like,
you either embrace it or you get left behind, and eventually you'll have to embrace it. It's kind of like an internet moment. It's difficult. It's like, oh shit, I don't want to learn this thing. I'm cool with the way it is. And then you realize, oh, this is kind of cool. I can play Candy Crush. I can do this. I can do that. Like, I can kind of make it work. So the sooner you learn about this, and this comes back to investing as well, like AI, look what AI can do. And like, are there crypto AIs? Yes, there are. And hint, they're actually doing really well and probably will continue to do well. So, okay, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, well, like, there's a lot of good benefits, I think, coming from this, as you just mentioned. But I should also highlight too, I don't know, you could have like governments create a fake video or news story to create and that'll affect the stock market. You could have someone create a video of Joe Rogan saying something vile, and that'll affect maybe Spotify's stock. I mean, so like, let's keep on top of this, but this could really, really affect the markets in the up or down direction.
Yeah, and this is where the scary part comes in, because there's going to be, they're called deep fakes. If it's this real, I can just put in there, I could put a prompt in for like Joe Rogan interviewing this person saying this, and it's that real. It can be scary. So there's going to be tools that are developed to help identify these deep fakes. So just be very mindful of, it's already tough to understand what's real, what's not real. So there's more of that coming. And it'll be interesting to see what happens come elections, because, you know, they can do some funny stuff there too. So I want to share one more thing, and then I'll throw it over to you to see if you want to share anything more. And then, you know, we'll hop off. Give me a second. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. So yeah, back in the day, I was a lot more into NFTs. Years ago, this was actually how I got onboarded, was from Gary Vaynerchuk back in the day. He
The
had his
fish.
first, and yes, the fish. He had his first NFT project called VFriends. So he helped onboard me into cryptos. So in order for me to buy NFTs, I had to own crypto, and I didn't know how to do that. So he created a whole bunch of material for me to go through, and then I went through it. It wasn't easy. I had a lot of questions, but I had someone that I could reach out to, his team, other people. So yeah, long story short, I got in and I bought this freaking fish, the notorious fish that Mikey always laughs at me for. Anyway, so I just wanted to share real quick, and we'll do other videos around NFTs and one sec. And disruptive technology, because I'm really I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. But so I owned Moonbirds. So Yuga Labs is one of the biggest companies that own the top NFT projects. So Yuga Labs were the creators of CryptoPunks. Oh, no, they're the creators of Bored Apes. Then Bored Apes, stick with me here. Oh, there's my dog barking. One sec.
Yeah, Mike's really into the NFTs, and it's nice because I don't research it as much as him, so you're going to benefit from his knowledge.
Yeah, so Yuga Labs bought CryptoPunks, which is the OG NFT project, and now they've recently bought a project that I'm in called Moonbirds. So this is a big announcement. So this company owns many of the top NFTs now. So again, we'll do future videos on this stuff. If there's topics that you guys want us to cover, if you have questions, put them down below. But yeah, we're interested in your feedback. What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? And we'll do Q&A questions, Q&A videos throughout the week as well. So yeah, I think these are going pretty well. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a great video. We covered a lot of topics, and you know, it's nice when you're doing something that you love doing, because you know, even as we are talking to each other, I'm sure I'm making points to Mike that he's genuinely interested in, and he's making points that I'm genuinely interested in. Because to be honest, if this wasn't recording, we'd be talking this way anyways. So
I know, and that's what we're like, dude. Why don't we just record this stuff? People ask us all these questions all the time. Why don't we just create a channel and just throw it on there? So it'll be cool to see what this kind of balloons into. So we've mentioned this multiple times. Disclaimer, do your own homework, take in a bunch of sources. What we share here is not financial advice. Nothing is guaranteed. Even though Mikey showed the 4 check marks, it doesn't mean we're going to the moon. Okay.
No guarantee.
And don't go buy it. Don't go buy the option. You do your research and like, subscribe, share. This stuff all helps us. It helps when you do that. It helps the algorithm show more of the things that you're interested in, and it'll show you like channels as well around investing. That's exactly what me and Mikey did at the beginning. You know, we just found channels that were helpful, that were able to, and Mikey's awesome with his analogies. Like, this is a tough subject, tough things to learn. And I have a technical background, and part of what I used to do in one of my previous lives was technical support, right? And helping people understand difficult topics and making it easier. So that's the benefit of following along on our channel. You got anything else?
No, that's it. I mean, keep following along. Follow along. You know, subscribe to our Real Wealth YouTube channel. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. Follow along with us, and we're gonna keep you up to date with everything we're studying.
And interact. Let us know that you're out there, even if it's just a thumbs up. Just let us know that you've listened. You know, maybe just type in replay if you're watching this. If you've made it this far in the video, thumbs up to you. So again, in the description, we're going to have details about Mikey's upcoming course that he's doing, and toss your questions down below. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Take care.
Peace. Bye-bye.